Welcome to today's class. Today I'll be talking about ICT application in procurement. As you all know, ICT has evolved over the years and many companies are using ICT to their advantage. So that is why you can see those cheap companies are taking advantage of ICT and are becoming best in the industry. So ICT in procurement is very common and it allows businesses to communicate with customers and partners through various channels. The internet is one of the newest and for many purposes best business communication channel. So we realize companies are using internet basically to communicate with various stakeholders, that is the customers, we have the suppliers and other important stakeholders in an organization. E-procurement basically automates the purchasing and procurement process of a company, and that therefore enables e-procurement to integrate the buyers and suppliers through relevant ICT. E-procurement basically automates the purchasing and the procurement process of companies. This allows the integration of both the buyers and the suppliers using relevant IT systems. So the automation of procurement basically is an end-to-end process that enables the workflow, and this has overtaken the traditional purchasing order softwares. So e-procurement by definition is that according to the Institute of Chartered Purchasing and Supply, they defined e-procurement as the combination use of electronic information and communication in order to enhance the link between the customers and suppliers and with other value partners, and thereby improve external and internal purchasing and supply management process. So the keyword there that you must check is the enhancement of communication between the customer and the suppliers. So e-procurement enables and improves both external and internal purchasing within the organization. So e-procurement is a component of e-business and e-commerce. So realize without e-commerce and e-business, e-procurement will not exist. Therefore, Krum and Brandon 2004 defined e-procurement as the use of internet-based integrated information and communication technologies to carry out individuals and all stages of the procurement process. So basically, e-procurement cuts across all the stages of procurement process. So you are able to use e-procurement across all the stages. E-procurement can be viewed more broadly as the end-to-end solution that integrates and streamlines many procurement processes throughout the organization. So companies basically focus on e-procurement to enable them streamline all the procurement process throughout the organization. Simply stated, e-procurement is a technology solution that facilitates corporate buying using the internet. It has the power to transform the purchasing process because it evades all the steps identified. So you realize e-procurement facilitates corporate buying. When you talk about corporate buying, what we mean is that it allows companies to be able to use e-procurement basically for buying process. E-procurement is also defined as to include the design at the specification development stage of the purchasing process, ending with the supplier's manager's efforts to evaluate and rate suppliers' performance. So using e-procurement, you're able to rate the supplier's performance by just clicking a button, and you're able to analyze how various suppliers are performing in the market. So what are some of the forms of e-procurement? We have various forms of e-procurement, but I've just concentrated on these few. The first one is e-tendering. We have e-sourcing, we have e-ordering, e-auction and reverse auction, and we have e-information. So let's start with the first one, e-sourcing. E-sourcing supports the specification phase, and it can be used to qualify suppliers and also identify suppliers that can be used in the selection phase. For suppliers' benefit, it allows the suppliers to be able to market themselves. And for the buying organization, the benefit is that it facilitates the sourcing of suppliers. Sourcing of suppliers is about coming up with new suppliers or improving the already existing suppliers in the organization. The other thing that we are going to talk about is e-tendering. E-tendering supports the selection stage and acts as a communication platform between the procuring organization. So e-tendering allows the organization to be able to select various suppliers through what is called competitive bidding. So it covers the complete tendering process, usually including support for the analysis and assessment activities. It does not include closing the deal with a supplier, but facilitates a larger part of tactical procurement process. So the work of e-tendering basically is to facilitate a larger part of the tactical procurement process. It results in equal treatment of suppliers, transparent selection of process, reduction in illegal errors or legal errors, clear audit trail, more efficient and technical procurement process, and improvement of time management of tendering procedure. So you can see e-tendering is very key in any organization. This is because it allows and supports the selection stage of procurement. The other thing that I'm going to talk about is e-auction. E-auction supports the contract stage of any procurement. It enables the closing of a deal with a supplier if parties agree on a price. So basically e-auction allows companies to come up in deals. Basically it supports the suppliers and the buyer when it comes issues to do with deals. They operate with an upward or downward price mechanism. So e-auction can happen both upwards and downwards. For example, e-auctioning with upward price mechanism for selling organizational products, and e-reverse auction with a downward price mechanism for the buying organization. They are internet-based using open and closed system. The other thing that I'll talk about is e-ordering and web-based ERP. This process allows creating and approving of procurement requisition, placing purchase orders, as well as receiving and service orders by using software system based on the internet. And lastly, we have e-information. E-information is not directly associated with any stage in the procurement process. It cuts across all stages of the procurement process. Therefore, information is power when it comes to e-procurement. So you realize without information, you can't even start the process of e-procurement. E-information basically allows the organization to gather information both from the internal and external parties using internet technology. So e-procurement has evolved over the years, and you realize it started as an electronic data interchange in the 1980s, and this was common in fast-moving consumer goods. So the fast-moving consumer goods industry used EDI basically to do the transactional type of transactions whereby they buy and sell goods using the internet. EDI system also allowed the exchange and synchronizing master data file on product prices. So it allowed organizations to be able to link both the prices of goods to the goods. In the 1990s, the introduction of internet software started to become available, and many software companies came up to develop various softwares that allowed vendors to be able to link their products and their electronic catalog. So suppliers were able to come up with various catalogs that ensured even the customers were able to know what they were really distributing and what they were really selling. So supply chain in procurement are traditionally supported by ICT, and we have other softwares like the ERP, which is the enterprise resource planning, and we have also the manufacturing resource planning that is common in the manufacturing sector. This system has evolved over the years, and currently we have issues to do with e-procurement and other softwares that allow organizations to work effectively. So what is the impact of e-procurement? According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the impact is that procurement has enabled increased process efficiency. So you realize organizations are able to increase their efficiency when it comes to various processes. The other impact is that it has enabled contract compliance. So you realize you're able to enter into a contract with various organizations, and at the end of the day, all the parties win the contract. So it has enabled organizations to be able to spend and come up with various softwares that allows them to be able to enter into various contracts with various suppliers. It has also increased leverage of purchasing power. So you realize with your software, you're able to have a better purchasing power. You're able to know how you are spending your money, and you're able to compare your actual spend and the expected spend in the organization. It has also allowed the organization to be able to consolidate their various procurement spend. So you're able to bring together what you want to spend as a company, and you're able to increase your purchasing power. And at the end of the day, you're able to increase your discounts, and negotiation power will also be increased. It has also led to the automation of the entire supply chain. So you realize you're able to do procurement end to end from the supplier side up to the end customer using e-procurement. So basically e-procurement interacts or integrates the end-to-end steps when it comes to procurement. It also has enabled the controlled purchasing. So companies are able to control their purchasing, in that it allows the distribution of controlled purchasing through automation process from requisition to payment. And this has enabled the organizations to streamline their operations, basically by shortening their cycle and reducing their cost. It has also led to the potential of e-procurement, which has enabled the down upon traditional purchasing functions into a competitive weapon. So it has converted the traditional purchasing, and that it has enabled organizations to be able to control their purchasing. So e-procurement system has also enabled firms to be efficient and accurate, in that it has enabled them to capture various issues when it comes to spending in the corporate world. So what are some of the limitations of e-procurement? The first limitation is slow adaptability. Companies don't want to embrace e-procurement, therefore their adaptation is becoming very slow. The other one is high maintenance cost. You realize the initial cost of coming up with a system is very expensive, and you know, after coming up with the system, the next thing that you must do is to maintain the system. So that one attracts what is called maintenance cost, and some companies don't want to embrace the system because they believe when they bring that system on board, it is going to increase their maintenance cost. The other thing is security threats. You realize it is very easy for people to hack the system. It is very easy for people to hack the system, and at the end of the day, companies fear to embrace e-procurement because they think if they put the e-procurement in place, we might have issues to do with cyber crimes and fraudulent practices, and this might pose a risk to the organization. So what is the future of e-procurement? Companies must be able to embrace e-procurement, in that it enables the organization to be able to cut on cost, and at the end of the day also increase on sales revenue. So executives are looking forward to leverage their power of technology by implementing e-procurement so that they can have a competitive advantage over other firms in the industry. It has also enabled companies to be at the center stage of significant development, unlike the recent years. So the impact of internet is that it has enabled the purchasing process to be more strategic and more proactive, and companies are able to involve in specification development and to do all things that enable the organization to ensure supplier performance is up. So you can see any company that wants to be strategic must be able to embrace e-procurement. If you don't do that, at the end of the day, your company is likely to to fail. So the best thing for a company is to be able to come up with systems that will be strategic and be competitive in the market. Thank you for listening.